Hello everyone, my name is Dylan and welcome back to a brand new video. So today I'm going to be hitting you with some realistic, everyday small talk, and I want you to see how much of it you can understand. So throughout this video, I'm not going to try to speak particularly slowly to make it easier to understand me. Instead, I'm going to be speaking at a very natural, native pace, and that does tend to be quite fast at times. This is because when you do come to an English-speaking country, this will help you to adjust, and it will be a really good test of your English listening abilities. So I'd say this video is probably going to be at a B2 to a C1 level. However, you can of course adjust the speed on YouTube to make it harder or easier. Finally, I am going to be using quite a lot of native expressions and advanced pieces of vocabulary. So if I say something useful, it will appear here along with a brief description, and everything that does pop up will be included in a completely free PDF, and the link to that is in the top comment. You just need to hit the link, enter your email, and I will instantly send it to you. This worksheet is going to be a really good way to start integrating these words into your everyday speech, so I would highly recommend it. Right then, let's do this. Okay, so as always, I have a random question generator in front of me, and we actually have about 25 different questions here, and I'm just going to be trying my hardest to work my way through them. Now, just to warn you, I will be going on some tangents, I will be rambling quite a lot, but trust me, that is actually a good thing because that helps to replicate realistic, everyday small talk. So let's get into this. Question number 1. Have you ever let someone else get punished for something that you did? Ooh, so we're starting off with quite an incriminating question then. Yeah, kind of. I do have a story that comes to mind. So when I was about 12 years old, I was at my friend's house for a sleepover. And I'm sure you have sleepovers in your country. It's basically when you go around your mate's house and you stay there for the night, and yeah. So I remember I accidentally broke one of my friend's lamps, and I'm not too sure how I did this. I must have accidentally knocked it off and it hit the floor and smashed into loads of different pieces. So what did I do? How did I rectify this situation? Did I go and say, "Hi, Mrs. Friend, I'm really sorry, but I accidentally broke your lamp. I'll offer to pay for a new one"? No, I was 12. I did this instead. I got my backpack. I scooped up all the broken pieces of glass. I put it in there, zipped it up, and just left it. So I was trying to be stealthy with it, but unfortunately, it didn't quite work out because for some reason, my friend's mum noticed that their lamp was missing, and then they noticed that when my bag was in the way, right, and it was next to where the lamp was, so I probably wasn't that stealthy with it, but anyway. So when they went to move it, they heard all this broken glass, and they realized the lamp was missing, they put 2 and 2 together, and yeah, that led to quite an awkward conversation, to be honest. So yeah, I didn't necessarily try to get someone else punished for what I did, but it was my intention, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway. Have you ever saved someone's life? Wow. I don't think so, to be honest. Maybe indirectly, just from the sheer quality of all of my videos, but that's a bit of a stretch, to be honest. Another thing that comes to mind is, right, hear me out. So when I was quite young as well, I think maybe I was about 10 here, I went on a family holiday to Scotland. And Scotland, just side note, by the way, Scotland is absolutely beautiful. If you do come to the UK, go to Scotland. Firstly, it's absolutely deserted. There's no one else there. But the trees in particular are so green and luscious and dense. Like the forests are incredible, and they have all these lovely rivers as well. Anyway, that is where the setting of my story takes place. I was next to a river, and we were out on like a family walk or something. And don't ask me why, because I don't know why, but for some reason, I decided to pick up a rock and throw it at my brother's head. And it hit him, and he started bleeding. So, he didn't die, which is good. But, yeah, I haven't tried to save someone's life. Sorry, I haven't saved someone's life, but I tried to take someone's. But it's all good, it's all good. We're okay now. Yeah, I do realize that is the polar opposite answer of what this question was demanding, but yeah, it's all good. Can we get a less incriminating question, please? What is something you are really looking forward to? I know the answer to this. Next Friday, the 11th of April, I am launching my own British English course, and I've worked ridiculously hard on this thing. It's 5 different modules. So we have the expressions of vocabulary, we have British accent training, we have listening, we have speaking, then we have like a bonus section as well, which covers like British culture and how to make a cup of tea and fun things like that. It's launching next Friday, so the 11th of April. The link will be in the top comment. And yeah, guys, I'm so excited for this. I've obsessed over this course for so long, and now it's finally ready. Yeah, so just look out for more details about that. Sorry for this plug, but that is genuinely what I'm looking forward to. You know, we've been working so hard on something for so long, and finally you have something to show for it. So yeah, next Friday, more details to come. It's going to be amazing. Right. Have you ever had to complain to management, and why? You know what? I don't think I ever have complained to management, which is a bit crazy, actually. That's certainly a British thing, though. So British people, you may or may not know this. I'm sure you do. Like, we tend to be quite reserved in some areas, and there's something about complaining that we don't. Well, we love complaining. Absolutely, we love complaining. But like complaining to someone else, like saying, sort of like causing some sort of conflict or making a scene is, I think it very much goes against what it is to be British. So I'm no exception to that rule. I'm pretty lenient with this sort of stuff. I think it would have to be let's look at like a restaurant, for example, or a hotel. They'd have to do something pretty abhorrent for me to feel the need to actually complain to the manager. Don't get me wrong, I'll leave like a Google review or something. I'll give you an example, right? So a few months ago, I was at a restaurant and I ordered a steak. And this was one of the worst steaks I've had in my life. And bear in mind, like the steaks, they tend to be the most expensive thing on the menu. So I had high expectations, right? And yeah, they were not met. This thing was like it wasn't even lukewarm. It was cold. it was tiny, and it took ages to come out as well. So I was pretty disappointed. Did I go and complain to the manager? No, because what's the point? Honestly, what is the point? I did leave a review though. I left a 3-star Google review, which is like the British equivalent of a 1-star review. So yeah. Whereas obviously in like America, they're so much more outgoing with this type of stuff, and they're like, we need to speak to the manager right now. But it's a lot less likely in the UK, I think. Has someone ever done a random act of kindness for you? Yeah, I'm sure they have actually. There's one that happened quite recently, so about a week ago. So I was at the airport. So yeah, guys, I'm not currently in the UK. I've gone for a few months. I was at the airport and my bag was like 3 kilograms over the limit. And the guy, so he was like, yeah, you're over. And I said, all right, I took my card out. Like, how much do I need to pay? I know how this stuff works. £65. I was like, I winced a little bit. £65 for 3 kilograms. That is crazy. But all right, whatever. Just, let's get it over and done with. I've got a flight to catch. And, I think when he saw my willingness to take my card out and not complain and make a big deal about it, he just sort of like, he changed his tune a little bit and just like, yeah, whatever, just you don't have to pay, just get out of my face. So he like in quite an aggressive way, basically said, you don't need to pay, just leave this queue and pretend I didn't see you. So that was cool. That was very nice of him, And by the way, just to warn you, throughout this video and over the next few months, I am going to be talking about my travels a bit. I'm sorry. I know it's so tedious sometimes to hear people talk about their travels. It's like, okay, I don't really care. But trust me, guys, my life over the last 3 to 4 months has been so boring. It's been the most mundane existence you can think of. All I've done is work, gym, eat chicken, rice, and broccoli. And that's it. So I've gone on some travels, and that means that there's going to be some stories to tell. It's going to change my content a little bit. It should be a bit more interesting. And certainly my newsletter as well is going to be interesting. So this is the perfect time to sign up to that if you haven't. And the link is in the top comment. What was the last thing that truly disappointed you? Okay, right, here I am. I'm going to start talking about the travels already. So it happened about 2 hours after the random act of kindness. I boarded the plane. I sat down, put my seatbelt on like a good boy, and I opened up the in-screen entertainment thing. I scrolled through the films and the TV shows, and oh my God, I've never seen a worse selection of films in my entire life. They had nothing. They had about 10 English films. All terrible. I think the only one I'd heard of was Inside Out 2. Not even the original. They couldn't even give me the original of this film that I wouldn't want to watch anyway. So to say that the selection was lackluster is the understatement of the year. I didn't watch anything. It was a long flight. I think it was like a 10-hour flight. I didn't watch a single minute of anything. I did lose my headphones that they gave me, so that's kind of why as well. But honestly, there was nothing I wanted to watch. Yeah. So what did I do during that flight? I'll tell you in a minute when we get to the question. What do you wish you had more talent doing? Okay. This once again relates to my travels. Oh my God, you'll notice a theme here. So a few days ago, I walked into a bar. This isn't a joke, by the way. We're done with the joke videos. Trust me. Anyway, I walked into a bar and I was by myself and I got a drink, walked to another area where I was going to sit down. And then some guy was like, "Hey, bro. Do I know you?" He was like, "Hey, dude, you here by yourself, man?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, bro, come take a seat, man. I'm your buddy now. My name's, what was his name? Phil. My name's Phil." And this guy, man, this American guy was just so outgoing, extroverted. He just seemed to know exactly the correct thing to say at all times. And that is just an American thing. American people are so, like, intrinsically so good at socializing. And it's something that I'm actually pretty jealous of. As I say, guys, the last few months I've been sat in my room. So my social abilities are probably like even lower than they normally are. So I need to work on that. But with British people, right, we're quite good at colonizing in some ways. Sorry. But Americans are like really, really good at socially colonizing. They can like integrate any sort of social group with ease. And it's something that I really admire. So I've actually decided to, I need to get some American friends. Yeah, so that I can sort of pick up not their accent, don't worry, but their ability to be extroverted and sort of just have more fun in life, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's a skill that I definitely admire. Being able to walk up and speak to people is so cool, and I need to get good at that, I think. What's an interesting fact that you recently learned? Did you know that sloths can hold their breath underwater for longer than dolphins can? A dolphin can hold its breath underwater for a measly 10 minutes. That's it. Pathetic, right? Whereas a sloth, do you want to guess? We'll do a little interactive thing. So option A, can they hold it for 20 minutes? B, can they hold it for 40 minutes? Or C, can they hold it for an hour? Answer is B. A sloth can hold their breath for 40 minutes underwater, which is absolutely insane. They're not aquatic. They live on trees and stuff. And they don't look like they would be able to do that. That's crazy. And the only reason I can think as to how that's true is because, well, they don't really do anything. They probably use such little energy because they're so bloody lazy the whole time. Respectfully to any sloths watching this. So I guess they don't need much energy to move. They can, I don't know, this doesn't even make sense to me. Their bodies are so small as well. Damn, if there are any sloth biologists in the comments, please do let me know if I'm on the money here and if that's actually true and how the hell it is that a sloth can hold their breath for 40 minutes and a dolphin can only hold it for 10 minutes. That seems pretty pathetic, right? Respectfully to any dolphins watching this. What is your favorite and least favorite country? Ooh, okay, I've got to be tactful here. Right, I can only talk about my recent experiences and traveling, and that has mainly been around Asia. So my favorite countries are, firstly, I'm just going to need to give a shout out to Vietnam because Vietnamese people are the nicest people in the world. They are just so kind. It's the same with Thai people as well. Same with a lot of different countries, to be honest. There are a lot of nice people out there, but Vietnamese and Thai in particular, but Vietnamese, there's just something about Vietnamese people are so, so kind. Like if you have a problem, any sort of problem, they won't stop until the problem is rectified. They will do absolutely everything they can. Even if it's a massive inconvenience to them, they will just help you. Yeah, that's what I've noticed for real. Anyway, so Vietnam, I like that place. Thailand is probably one of my favorite countries because of how chill it is. The people there are so nice. You can do Muay Thai there. You can eat pad Thai there. You can just chill out in the sun. Huge fan of Thailand. And I'm not alone in saying that. That's why half of Britain has emigrated there. So I'm sorry about that, Thailand. Anyway, Japan, of course. Japan is one of those places that's so like alluring, and certainly in the West, certainly in the UK, like so many people just sort of, if you ask them which country they'd want to go to, they would say, oh yeah, Japan's on my bucket list. Everyone wants to go there. And it really, truly lives up to the hype. I adore that place. And yeah, one of my favorite countries. If you want to go to a country that works and that the culture actually works, Japan is probably the best example of that. So yeah. Least favorite? I don't really have any least favorite countries, to be honest with you. I haven't really had any experiences where I've gone somewhere and I've like, oh god, this is horrible. There is one thing I'm going to talk about though, and that's Korea. So I used to be a big fan of Korea. If you see many of my videos, you know that I actually started my YouTube channel because of Korea. I'll cut a long story short. I applied to be a teacher in Korea. They were like, yeah. I had a random seizure. They were like, nah. So I started this channel out of spite. Anyway, and I like that place, but there is something that I've noticed that recently on a recent trip there that I would like to talk about very briefly. I won't take up too much time with this. So one thing about Korea is that there are these insane beauty standards. I know everyone knows this, and it's so like sort of trite to say this at this point. Everyone sort of tunes out. It's like saying, oh, social media is bad for your health, your mental health. It's like, yeah, I know this, whatever, say something a bit more interesting, but this is relevant, right? I've noticed that whenever I go to Korea, I feel so sort of like lonely and like sad in a way. And I was never too sure why. And I think it's because of like all these adverts they have everywhere. Like they have, huge Chanel adverts, huge Dior adverts, pretty much saying like, if you don't buy this and spend this money, then you are worthless and you are ugly and you don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve to be happy. And that's pretty much like 90% of the advertising in Korea. That's how I felt anyway. And it's like, there is this obsession with looking good and unrealistic beauty standards. And just the final example of this is they have this chain of stores called Olive Young. And Olive Young sell like makeup and cosmetics, basically things that can make you look more attractive. And they are absolutely everywhere. And I'm not exaggerating. I've never seen such a prevalent chain that isn't like an essential shop, like a 7-Eleven or something. I genuinely think that in your country, right, there's probably a lot of supermarkets, a lot of 7-Eleven, stuff like that. In Korea, it's the same, but instead of 7-Elevens, it's just loads and loads and loads and loads of Olive Youngs. And I think that just kind of summarizes the obsession they have with beauty. So it's a shame. It's a shame. And that obviously isn't like a dig against Korean people. It's just, it's something I've noticed there. And I do kind of feel sorry for some Korean people because I think it's unfair and I think it's so hard as well. Anyway, who cares what I have to say? But let me know if you're Korean, if you think I'm on the money here. I don't know why I've used that expression twice. I've never said that before in my life, and I've used it twice in about 10 minutes, if I'm on the money. Anyway, if you could choose the way you became a hero, what would the circumstances be? Firstly, you don't want to be born a hero, in my opinion, because that's kind of like being born famous. You don't get to choose why you're famous or the fact that you are famous, and that would kind of suck. And like being a child star would just be awful because you can't really relate to anyone else your age, so you're just going to have this like lack of belonging and social skills and stuff like that. And it would kind of be the same if you were born a hero as well. So what I'd like is the choice. I'd like a genie to come up to me one day and be like, hey man, here's a pill. If you take this, then you can have whatever superpower you would like. And if you don't, it's all good, man. Don't worry. It's up to you. I'd be like, all right, cool. And I think that would be a nice way to choose. When you're like an adult, you can sort of make your own decisions a bit better. And what superpower would I like? Well, as mentioned, I have left the UK for a bit. So I recently moved out of my house, and that led to me doing some painting. And I was thinking, if I had a superpower, I'd actually want like a really chill, pragmatic superpower, like being able to like instantly paint a wall. So say if there's any wall in a house and it doesn't matter on the texture, it could be all rough, there could be plaster coming out of it. I'd like to go like that with my magic finger, and it would just be perfectly smooth and painted to perfection, because that's a superpower, in my opinion, that isn't gonna like destroy your life, and it isn't gonna bring all these negatives that other superpowers might bring. It's not going to make you like really, really famous, but it will make you incredibly useful. You can get like you can start a business with that easily. Just drive around and then boom, that's your house painted. That'll be £5,000, because honestly, getting your house painted is actually really expensive. Anyway, that would be a really pragmatic and versatile magic power that wouldn't have that many negative associations, I think. So yeah, I'm going to be like paint guy or something. What's something uncomfortable that you feel everyone should experience at least once in their life? Ooh, okay. My answer is going to be a massive gym bro, self-improvement bro type answer, but it's relevant. Ice baths and cold showers. They're absolutely grueling. They're horrible, especially if you've never done one before, and the thought of just getting into a freezing cold, just submerging your whole body into a freezing cold bit of water is unpleasant. And there isn't really any way to prepare yourself for an ice bath as well. Just that initial shock doesn't go away. However, the feeling you get afterwards, whether it's a cold shower or an ice bath, once you sort of, pretty much as soon as you get out of there and you return to like whatever temperature you were at before, it's unreal. You feel absolutely incredible. Your whole body just feels good. You feel it's so exhilarating. It's worth it. Trust me. So give it a go. Give it a go. Ice baths, cold showers, whichever one you want. What's your favorite form of entertainment? This is what I did on the flight actually. So it was my birthday 2 weeks ago, and I treated myself to an Amazon Kindle, which I'm sure you know. A Kindle is like it's what you read the books on. It's basically like an iPad or a tablet just for reading. And I must say, this is an absolute game changer. I love it. It's kind of like Netflix, but for books, in the sense that you can just pick it up, turn it on, and you can scroll through all these different categories, and you can see like the review, the rating. You can press download, in about 30 seconds, you have an entire book downloaded to your tiny little tablet thing, and you can read through it. And if you don't like it, it's all good. Just discard it and get yourself another one. Because for me, I think that reading is kind of like eating vegetables, in the sense that we all know we should be doing more of it, but we don't, just like there's a bit of a barrier to entry to buying the vegetables, to cooking the vegetables, to buying the books, to reading the books. And this is something that really, really alleviates all that. It makes it so much easier just to read on a regular basis. And yeah, I'm beyond impressed with the Kindle. So this isn't a sponsorship. Maybe it should be though, because fair play. If you're on the fence about getting a Kindle, I'd highly recommend it. What has been your biggest financial mistake? I don't really have any big financial mistakes, to be honest, just a load of small ones, mainly stemming from like poor planning. So for instance, if I am going on a trip and I book a flight in advance and then decide that I'm not actually going to get on that flight because I didn't plan it properly, or the same with accommodation, and that's just pretty much money down the drain. There was a period a few years ago, I had a business before this selling jeans, and this was during COVID, so I was living at home at the time and pretty much had no expenses. So I was just getting all this money coming in and nowhere to put it, and I very foolishly just blew a lot of it. And there was one time I bought this t-shirt and hoodie from Japan, so I paid someone to import it from Japan, and it was pretty expensive. And I think I wore the hoodie twice before selling it for a huge loss. And the t-shirt I still have, but I never wear it. And yeah, I don't make those mistakes anymore, but a lot of poor financial decisions, but nothing too major, Do you have any secret hobbies? Yeah, skateboarding. I haven't skated in donkeys, but to be honest, I've never been more passionate about anything in my life than I was with skateboarding. So between the ages of 12 and 14, it was all I'd think about. It was all I would do. Obviously, I had to go to school and stuff. When I wasn't at school, I was either skating or watching videos of skating, and I loved it so much. Yeah, so I would definitely like to get back into that, and I hopefully will. When I do, trust me, you all know, it will be all over my Instagram. It will be all over my newsletter. And you guys can see my amazing skills, because I was actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie. And if you had asked me my dream job back then, I'd want to be a skateboarder more than anything in the world. And if you are looking to be a skateboarder who is born in the UK and lives in the UK, good luck, mate, because the culture doesn't really support that. Firstly, people constantly take the piss in the UK in general, especially with skateboarding. I don't know what it is. It's maybe seen as like childish or lame or something like that, which is so stupid. Back then I didn't care, but maybe as I got a bit older, I started to become more self-conscious about that type of thing. And secondly, there just isn't really the culture for it here. There are so few professional skateboarders, I'd say, from the UK, which does, on the one hand, it means that there's less competition, but on the other hand, and this is the salient point, it means that there is so much less opportunity. Yeah, so skateboarding. Soon you'll see me skateboarding, I promise. What's a thing you have, I can't read this question. What recent thing have you decided that you're completely over and done with? Mate, just getting like absolutely hammered. It's been a while since I've been like hammered, but I'm just so over it. The next day, the hangover is just terrible. It's the worst thing in the world. You massively underslept. You look like death. You can't really eat anything. It's just like, it's such an undesirable state to be in. So I think I'm done with getting obscenely drunk, which I know is not a very British thing to say, but that's kind of how it's going these days. Like, I think I heard that a nightclub in the UK, a nightclub shuts down. It's either every week or every day, which is a bit crazy. And there's loads of pubs shutting down as well, because people are just drinking so much less now, especially young people such as myself, Am I still young? Yeah, I think I'm still young. What has been your 50 minutes of fame up to this point? Right, I just want to preface this section by saying that it's like internet fame. It's not real, right? And I'm not being like big-headed at all, trust me. But I did have my 15 minutes of fame recently with this video I made, which ironically was actually 15 minutes long. So I literally had my 15 minutes of fame. And it got, for my standards, it went pretty big. It got like 1.7 million views, which is a lot more than my usual view count that I get. And yeah, it was weird. Mixed feelings, to be honest. Had about 6,000 comments. It's weird having 6,000 strangers on the internet comment on your videos. And yeah, mixed feelings about that, to be honest with you. But luckily it's the internet, so everyone just moves on like that. So, it was fleeting fame, but I think that's the whole point of 15 minutes of fame. The one thing that did kind of annoy me about that video, I'm sure that some of you watched it, is so many of the comments were saying like, oh, these jokes are terrible, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I know the jokes are terrible. The actual joke was me telling these awful dad jokes with a completely straight face and then trying to justify why they're funny with a completely straight face. That's the actual joke. Some people did get that, but a lot of people didn't. But it is what it is. Anyway, what law have you broken the most in your life? Ooh. And back to the incriminating questions. Great. Crossing the road when it's a red man. So when you're not supposed to, pretty much. Yeah, I've always done that. I think that is another British thing. Like, I just can't stand waiting. We're good at queuing, but I just cannot stand waiting. And of course I look first and make sure there's no cars coming, but if there aren't, I'm not going to sit there and wait. I think maybe that's like I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder with that type of thing. And I just want to go. But yeah, that's a law that I break pretty regularly. Yeah. I think it's called jaywalking. I don't know if it's actually illegal. Probably is. Maybe it's frowned upon. I don't know if it's actually illegal. Anyway, what is something you predict will exist in 10 years that doesn't today? I'm not too sure. I think it would be something AI related, which I know is just the most generic answer ever, but let's be honest, it's probably going to be related to that. Something AI-y. And this is another point as well. We're just talking about the comments, right? I've had a lot of comments lately saying that I'm AI and that my voice is AI and that my face looks like AI. And I just need to put those rumors to bed right now. So what I'm going to do is drink this water, this bottle of water. And then you can clearly see, right? Okay. And AI cannot drink water because it's a robot, right? So It would fry the circuits, whatever. So now we can put all of those AI rumors to bed. Yeah. Anyway, what do you find you recently spend a lot of time wondering about? My course. I'm not going to lie, guys. This isn't another advert, but my course is all I think about. It's, I've dedicated pretty much the last 6 months of my life to it. So I've been ruminating about all these different things, like the order of the lessons, the order of the modules. What should I do for that? Should I refilm that? What's going to be good for that? Trust me, the amount of effort I've put into it is reflected in the quality of it. If you enjoy my videos, then you will love the course, I promise. Next Friday the 11th of April. Exciting. Do you have any memories before the age of 5? Yeah, one, and it involves Canada. So I went to Canada on a family holiday, and my memories are I had chocolate cake on the flight. I got a fresh deck of Pokemon cards. And there were these little crisp things that were shaped like goldfish. I'll try and find a photo. And I saw a polar bear as well. Guessing the polar bear was in a zoo and not just roaming the streets of Toronto. But yeah, I guess that is officially my earliest memory, which is cool. I'd love to go to Canada again, to be honest. Anyway, what is your opinion on tattoos? I like them, and I do want one. I know where I'd get it. I'd get it here on the ribs, which I know everyone says really hurts, but whatever. It's like an hour or two of pain for like a lifetime of cool tattoo positioning. But I just don't know what to get. I feel like if I got one, I'd be forcing it a little bit at this stage. Maybe one day I'll see something that really speaks to me and I'm like, yeah, I'd love to get that tattooed, but I'm pretty apprehensive about it at the moment, to be honest with you. I'm definitely open to getting one and I like them, but it would be forced if I got one right now. Like, what would I get? I was thinking about getting a Henry the dog tattoo. That'd be cute, right? But, we'll see. By the way, if you don't know, Henry the dog is the channel mascot. He's right here. And also he's up here as well. Yeah. What do you know how to do that is completely useless? Many different things. I'm assuming this question means like, what talent do you have that's useless? And it involves a pen, but I don't have a pen here. So if you remind me in the comments telepathically from the future to get a pen at the end of this video, then I will show you. Don't forget to remind me, please. Next question. Do you like people watching and where do you do it? Good question. So if you didn't know, people watching is basically when you go to a public area like a park or a cafe, you sit there and you just watch everyone else go by living their lives and you judge them or something. I didn't realize people watching was so popular, but a lot of people have spoken to me about this recently. And apparently it is like a hobby for quite a lot of people. For me personally, my eyes aren't very good. So like I'm short-sighted, which means I can see the phone. If we're having a conversation, I can see your face. I can, read without glasses. However, long distance, it's not great. Not terrible, but I think that will affect my ability to people watch. So if I'm like on a bench, I could see them, of course, but their faces would be a little bit blurry. Yeah, so it's one of those really. I do need to get some glasses. And I will one day. But the problem is once you get glasses, you can't really go back to not wearing them because your eyes will adjust to like the help of the glasses. So if you stop wearing them, then they're going to get worse over time. I feel like I've explained that pretty poorly, but you know what I mean. And it doesn't really impact my day-to-day life that much. So at the moment, I'm just sort of taking it in my stride and just accepting that short distance, my eyes are all right. But long distance, it's a little bit blurry, but it's all good. I do need glasses for when I drive, but day-to-day life, it's not too bad. Yeah. So maybe I should get some, then I can enjoy people watching a bit more. I'll be a bit better at it as well. I'll be able to make better judgments and stuff like that. Or I could just buy some binoculars, but maybe that's a step too far. That's kind of like bordering like stalker levels. What do you think people pretend to like when they really don't? Watermelon. Hear me out. I feel like liking watermelon, certainly a few years ago, was like very trendy. And for me personally, whenever I've had watermelon, like actual watermelon or like watermelon flavored drinks, for me, I've always found it to be pretty underwhelming. Like very, very watery, not much flavor. You get all these pips in your teeth and it's like, where is the hype for me? I think it's so overrated. And I think that people maybe pretend to like it more than they do, to be trendy. Now, you could say this about avocados as well, but I'm going to be honest. Avocados are so good. They're so delicious that even though they are very trendy, not so much anymore. The trend has died a little bit, but even though they were very trendy, they are worth it. They do live up to the hype. What's a trendy food at the moment? We had watermelon, we had avocado. We've had like quinoa, the whole vegan stage and stuff like that. What is a trendy food at the moment? I don't know. Do people still eat food? Will that ever go out of fashion? Do you think people will just drink their food instead? Who knows? For me, next question. What's the one thing... Oh, this is the last question as well. Ooh, sorry about that. What's the one thing that you seem to constantly lose? In general, I'm pretty good with not losing possessions. However, there is one thing that just seems to be an exception to that rule, and that is sunglasses. I'm always losing sunglasses. Maybe I'm just averse to glasses in general. Maybe because I'm from the UK and we have so little sun that there isn't really always a need for sunglasses. So if I do have some, I'm just like I forget that I have them and I'll just like leave them there and then leave the building, and that's one more pair of sunglasses down the drain. I think I lose about 2 every summer. So I think over the last 3 years, that's 6 pairs, which is a bit crazy. That does add up a little bit, to be honest. Maybe I need to get you can get like this chain thing, right? That you put on the edge of the glasses. Then when you're not wearing them, it's kind of like here and you can put them on. But yeah, until then, I think I'll just keep losing my sunglasses. That's like a recurring theme every year. Lose a couple pairs and just crack on. Right, guys, and there we have it. Thank you so much for watching. So as mentioned, all of the words that popped up on the screen will be included in a completely free PDF. I think that's going to be really, really useful for you to have, and the link to that is in the top comment. So as I did say at the start of the video as well, next Friday the 11th of April, my British English online course will be available. I've worked so hard on this. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm so proud of it. So if it's past the 11th, the link will be in the top comment. Go and check that out. And if it's before the 11th, firstly, thank you for watching within the first week. And secondly, you can also enter your email and I will send you updates on that. And if you're signed up to my newsletter, you will also get some updates on the course. But it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, I would recommend watching this one here, or maybe even this one here. This will improve your vocabulary and this will further improve your listening skills. So thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and comment down below, and I will see you next Friday for another video. Cheers. I literally just remembered. Yeah?